Welcome back aboard Blurred Force One with your boy Mo, and this is the Supercast. The Supercast where we talk about all things superhero in our pop culture media, and that's movies, TV shows, video games. We talk about the news, do some speculation, all of that good nerdy stuff. And man, we are in superhero heaven. I want to say we got Daredevil is going right now. We got all of these things that are coming up, like what is it, Fantastic Four. We got Superman, and the comics are rolling. Animation, like it's great. This is a great time to be a comic book nerd. And before we talk about all that stuff, you know what to do. Get down there, hit like on this video. But also, you guys, welcome back to the show. Our good friend Polly from Co-Mixed. Polly, how are you today?
I'm great today.
That's awesome, and we actually literally just recorded the Marvel Infinity Rewatch podcast.
I'm still great.
I can't wait for you guys to see that episode where we talk about Thor: The Dark World. Good times. It's gonna be about a month before y'all see that. So look forward to that. But other than that, Polly, what have you been up to that's nerdy?
Well, the most nerdy thing that happened, I finally got this thing. It finally came.
Oh, holy
in
shit!
The mail. Yes,
Hey.
Yes. One of my absolutely favorite indie comics.
Is that like the complete?
It's no. I have a full set of trades, but this is something special, something that was done additionally. They released the covers, coffee table book,
right,
with all the covers that were printed and not printed, and it has this little plate signed by the writer and the artist. Yes, and the edition is very beautiful.
That's great.
Absolutely stunningly designed.
It's got a bookmark. It's got the little ribbon bookmark in it too. Like
yes, yes. And as you can see, it has all the covers, all the gorgeous covers by Jamie McKelvey, by other artists, by Kevin Wada, of course. Like it's just gorgeous. The quality is
cool.
Fantastic. The design is spectacular. It's one of the best books, and I wanted it for so long. I've been waiting for this. I ordered it as my birthday present, which was in December. It was supposed to come out in December, but then of course there were delays, but they did it, and they did it stunningly, and all the delays were worth it.
That's
gorgeous.
awesome. I love that for you. That's a book that I've always meant to get. Like, I've read the first couple volumes and I just hadn't gotten back. Like, I was reading them when they were dropping, like back when it was in its original run. I fell out of it and I haven't gotten back to it. So I've always intended to finish that comic series. Kieran Gillen is, I think he's not talked about enough as a comic book writer. That's a very original story that plays to his strengths, but also I think is a near and dear to his heart thing, because he likes to talk about the intersection of like music and pop culture and our culture and morality and everything. So he
after that I ordered Phonogram also after I read this, and it's also another work of Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, and they're a fantastic duo. I want to work them on more things. I want them to work on more things together, because they're just stunning together. And but right now, Gillen is writing the Power Fantasy, which is also a fantastic book. Unfortunately, the artist is a different one, also a great one, but
I think he's an interesting writer. I don't want to call it claim to fame. An interesting thing about him is that I've conversed with him. Now, to be fair, people have conversed with writers and stuff on message boards before, but this was
Mhm.
back on the Penny Arcade forums, which I used to be really big on the Penny Arcade forums. Hello, Kitty. But I used to be really big on the Penny Arcade forums like a while ago. So
Mm.
this was before the Wicked and the Divine. This was when he was just getting some Marvel work. This is probably like 15 or so years ago. And we were talking about his comics, and he just popped up and was like, "Hey, I'm Kieran Gillen. I write. I think he was about to get on Thor, I think at the time or something like that.
Mm.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's." And we talked like we had in the forum. It was very interesting. Like I was like, "Well, this is cool. Like, dude, you're about to and I didn't realize he was about to break. Like, I had seen some of his stuff, but I hadn't really known him. Really, he's a cool dude to talk to. He seems like an interesting person. Now he's like,
Yeah.
in terms of comics, he's been very successful.
Yes, and his ideas, the ideas that he puts into this comics, they are always so unique and interesting. And again, the element of music that he
hmm
introduces into it, or subcultures or stuff like that, it's always relevant.
Yeah, I think Phonogram actually is probably where I first really was like, oh wait, this dude, very
Yeah,
very
yeah.
cool.
I One of my favorite pages is the cover design for one of the issues of the phonogram, where it's done like a has music video for "Take on Me."
hmm Yeah, he
I love that page so
he
much.
the thing, and he kind of like I said, music is so important to him that it's Phonogram is really kind of his thesis about what he thinks about life. I think, which is
Yeah.
cool. Um, well, I want to say what I do nerdy this week. I played some video games, not a lot. Like oddly enough, you would think I have time all the time in the world. I don't. But I was
Did
like,
you play Marvel Rivals?
no, I didn't. Marvel Rivals isn't really for me. I kind of realized that it's not the sort of game that I'm bad at it, and
Mm,
I don't love.
so am I.
I'm well. You're better at. I can guarantee you'll kill me. And I just haven't played it since that first like beta, like the first time that they were like, "Hey, everybody, it's out. Let's play." I played it like for like 4 hours, and I haven't played it since. And I'm like, what? I like the look of Marvel Rivals. I don't love the gameplay of it. So, and it's just probably because I suck. But I played something else. I played was it Capcom versus Tatsunoko on the Wii?
Oh,
On the Wii, I still have a Wii. Really do. And I was just like, I was waiting for something to render. So I was like, let me play something. I was like, wait a minute, because I was like, this game, I never understand tag games. Tag fighting games are hard for me to get into, but it was kind of fun though. And I'm like, unfortunately, it's on the Wii, so like I literally have nobody to play with except the computer. But it was still still very cool. Beyond that, I also watched the first 3 episodes of Ianu, which premiered on Cartoon Network, but also on Max. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but it is set in a fictional West African setting called Yorubaland. I believe it is from. I think the people that worked on it are of Nigerian descent, but probably Americans are on it too. But it's a show with a lot of black people in it and no white people. So like,
I'm definitely gonna watch that, but
and it,
probably when it's released fully. I'm so excited
yeah,
because I already saw the reviews and the mm, just people hyping up the show, and I'm very excited to see it.
it's a fantasy. It and they say straight up,
It is.
it is influenced or inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender. That is very clear. If you
Mhm.
watch it, you'll see what we're talking about. There's a lot of specificity to it culturally. I think people who are of West African descent, specifically Nigeria, will really appreciate it. Those of us who aren't, we can still appreciate it a lot too. Um, it's an interesting show. I'm not saying I love it yet. I really like it. I think I want to see the rest of the season. The third
Well,
episode, the third episode was a
I'm
bit,
of Northwestern
yeah.
descent, so maybe I like it more.
It's I will say this: the third episode was a bit exposition-y, which I didn't love, but it's also had some really cool
It's
moments.
necessary.
And she's a fun character. I like her a lot. The boy characters I'm trying to get into them. And I one of them looks straight up like they copied the character design. You remember Captain Planet, uh, the co- uh, the cartoon Captain Planet? I feel like they copied Kwame and just put him into there. And I was like, "What are you doing?" You'll see what I'm
That's
talking about.
an Easter egg.
Yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's cool. You guys should check it out. I'm gonna definitely follow it because I want to see where it's going. So that's all. I mean, I did some more nerdy stuff, but that's generally what I was up to. So, of course, this is the Supercast. We are going to talk about superhero media news. That is our main topic of discussion. So we got a few things to talk about this week. Like, I think it's mostly for me. Peacemaker season 2. We get the premiere date for it and a small little snippets about what it's going to look like. Also, Marvel movie composer Michael Giacchino is making his foray into comics. What's that going to be all about? We got a rumor about who could be the big bad for Spider-Man Brand New Day. The actress Carrie Coon talks about her character in Endgame and why she didn't come back for that big Marvel movie. Nia DaCosta talks about what it's like directing a Marvel movie as a director of the Marvels. Let's just say, uh, not amazing. We'll see what she had to say about that. We're gonna get caught up on Daredevil, Born Again, and how we felt about the most recent episodes, and then we're gonna have a nerd discussion. And the discussion topic is it time to admit that live action comic book movies are never going to be as good as the comics? That's a controversial topic. We're going to dive into that. So, Polly, we got a lot to cover. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get into this. You did not watch Peacemaker, right?
No,
What
I
have you
did not.
said that
I
you're not?
still haven't.
Hey,
Yeah, I still haven't had the time.
well, I'm just going to let you know you have until August 21st to get caught up on Peacemaker because that's when Peacemaker season 2.
Or or I could wait till season 2 comes out and watch 2 seasons.
I mean, you could do that, but like,
Ah!
what kind of what kind of nerd stuff is that? That's not how we do it.
That's the
We're camping out in front of the movie theater, waiting to get tickets.
look.
That's not a thing people
I
do
would
anymore, but
have done
still.
that 10 years ago. I would have done that. Now I need my comfortable chair.
Yeah.
Okay? I ain't camping out in front of the movie theater in a like whatever costume. No, I'm not doing.
That's that we know
I'm
now.
being patient.
Nowadays, you can just order the tickets online, so nobody does that anymore.
Exactly.
But
Mm.
yeah, this look, the season 2 is going to premiere August 21st. So you got months. You have many months to get to that, and it's only 8 episodes. Um, that being said, they did also release a little bit of a teaser, it was actually a big teaser for what's coming to Max in general over the next, I guess, year. So it takes a back seat to stuff like The Last of Us and Hacks and uh, all these other things that I don't watch because there are no superheroes or capes or whatever in them. Who cares? But they did show little bits of it, and it looks like it's going to be more of what we loved about the first one. Now it's not clear who's going to be back beyond. I think what's her name? I can't remember the character. Why can't I remember Adebayo? She's going to be back, and also, of course, obviously John Cena's Peacemaker. There's going to be some ultra violence. Surprise! It's James Gunn. So I think it looks pretty cool. Now it's not like we didn't get a ton of it. We're probably not going to get an actual trailer for it. Let's see, it's April. We're probably not going to get an actual trailer for it until maybe next month or June. But I'm interested and I'm excited. Polly, I would say, what do you think? But You don't know anything about the show.
I'm excited for everyone who's excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. If nothing else, he's part of the DCU, so this is gonna move the DCU, story forward in the wake of Superman, because Superman will have come out by then.
So that would be if there is like any impact on the world, on the bigger world, that would be there.
And also with
That's exciting.
another thing to remember is that Peacemaker was filming while Superman was filming. James Gunn took breaks from filming Superman to film his episodes of Peacemaker season 2. So it would be more than reasonable to think that those things are going, like, there's going to be some impact between the two of them. There, he is trying to build
I mean,
a cinematic universe.
Probably can't eliminate a cameo or something.
Yeah, could be.
Because who knows?
We'll see. And it's 8 episodes.
If you can do these things, if you can actually do these things, that's not an opportunity that every director gets.
Yeah.
But he got it, so that could be a thing.
It's gonna be. I think
everyone be more excited now.
It's you. I think we all should be. But also everyone, y'all should definitely peer pressure everybody who hasn't watched it to watch it. So, Polly, you're on notice. But we'll keep an eye out for that first trailer, and we're going to talk about it when it drops. Marvel movie news. Well, not movie news, but it's related to a person that I think has gotten a lot of love throughout the years because
and should get
connection.
More.
Yeah, he is a composer that's done a lot of cool stuff for Marvel. Michael Giacchino, who also delivered a really amazing special presentation with Werewolf by Night. A beautifully done one. For me,
and
especially.
If you haven't seen the documentary, by the way, on Disney Plus about making of that movie, you definitely should, because it's a very interesting story of how he got interested in directing and how he got interested in music and how this is all connected, and a fantastically talented person, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's an artist, like, not for music, but also
that's not something that a lot of people can do, like direct something, create something, like put this vision of what it should look like onto the screen, and at the same time being able to compose this fantastic scores.
Right. He has a love, clearly has a love for old school, like, monster movies, and really kind of wanted to present a Marvel, an MCU version of one of those old school monster movies, and also bring some really cool supernatural characters into the MCU. Now, the Marvel Studios hasn't really followed up well on these, unfortunately.
Which they should. That's what we should put peer pressure on.
We should, but I understand there's only so much time to do so many things. But it was a cool special presentation. I think made a real case for why it should exist. Special presentations should exist. That and Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, or holiday special, really does kind of show why. And now we're getting Punisher. Marvel special presentations are a great idea.
What holiday is Punisher gonna be for?
Valentine's Day. He's coming out, like, yeah, he's showing all the love to all the criminals. But this,
I'd watch that.
Michael Giacchino he's breaking into comics. He's actually
finally.
I think it's going to be they call it a Dracula-centric Werewolf by Night story, and I'm assuming it's going to be a one-shot. So like 50-something pages of a story for for the Marvel comics, which is kind of smart to me. Like, I keep wondering when is Marvel comics, like, they keep trying to bring MCU shit into the comics, but I'm talking about when are we going to get a straight up branded MCU comics tie-ins? I don't understand why they haven't been doing that. So I don't know. Are you gonna pick this up?
Probably. If I find it, don't forget. I'm gonna definitely read it when it comes out on Unlimited. And if I find it, I will definitely pick it up. But I am very excited because I want to see what else he can do and how he does it. Because when a person does so many things so well, I'm definitely going to support that, and I'm definitely going to be interested and excited for many new opportunities.
Right. What I think I like the idea of at least trying to bring the vampires in a way that makes some kind of sense and connecting it to Werewolf by Night. Even though I don't think that I think this is going to be more it's going to be a one shot sort of its own thing, so it's not going to necessarily attach to any particular thing in the comics itself. It's just an opportunity to give a creator that had a story they wanted to tell a place to tell it. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that because the comics needs more of that anyway. But also, I love the fact that Michael Giacchino is like, no, I have stories I want. Seriously, I have stories I want to tell, and he's getting to kind of sharpen his pen, so to speak, on in a place where it's a lower stakes and lower investment, but still plenty of space to actually be a storyteller. And I hope he's making his case for like, hey, can we do this special presentation or maybe a feature film? That could
Hmm.
my Werewolf by Night could have been a feature film. I think because think about the show or the special presentation. It was an hour long, but it was very self-contained in one place, and it could very easily have been expanded to show how they capture who they were, the monster society, or the hunter society, how they captured Werewolf by Night. What all There's a lot that could have turned into an extra 30 minutes or 45 minutes and turned this into a feature. I would love to see him get a feature, but I think they maybe they want a little bit more of you know proof that he can actually handle it. Um, but also, I kind of don't want him to get a feature because, man, the Marvel machine's going to get in there and kind of fuck it up. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, but like you can have a vision, and we'll talk about this later. And then Marvel was like, we have things that need to happen, so X, Y, and Z needs to happen here, and let's edit this in this way. But no, I didn't watch that documentary about it, but I feel like he got to do more or less what he wanted. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
because it's lower stakes, he can do more or less what he wanted. I don't
I
know
think,
if.
yeah, I think that he should. What I would like to happen is for him to get more of this feature things, special presentations, because that's where his style, and it's very unique, and it's uh, very much inspired, yes, like you said, by like old school cinema.
Mhm.
Mm, very, very 20s silent movie vibe. I love that
Right.
because it's one of my favorite genres in general. And well, styles, not genres. And I would like for him to keep doing that, to maybe explore different styles, like other things.
Mhm.
Honestly, one of the people who I believe Marvel should let do whatever they want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They won't, but still,
They should.
they won't. They should stop being cowards, Marvel. So, all right. Well, I think we'll check back on this when this releases. I'm not gonna buy this, but if it, because I don't buy physical comics really, but I will check it out when it hits Marvel Unlimited. We'll talk about it then. Um, let's talk about a rumor, Marvel rumor. Which is who's going to be the big bad? Who's going to be the villain for Spider-Man Brand New Day? Well, there's a rumor going around, a very reasonable rumor, I think, that Mr. Negative may in fact be the bad guy, and that's based on the fact that Marvel is casting. They put out a casting call for a male actor in the age range of 30 to 50 years old. That is
That
Asian.
could be anyone.
Asian though, 30 to 50 Asian. So, I mean, how many Asian bad guys does Spider-Man fight? It really is just Mr. Negative. It's just Mr. Negative. So this is a very reasonable rumor. Um, so I want to ask probably how. First of all, do you buy this? Do you want to see Mister Negative make it to the MCU? And also,
Uh,
do you have anybody in mind?
really, really, what I would care more about is the story, the story that is happening. I like I said, I don't didn't necessarily like enjoy No Way Home as much as most other people did.
Hmm.
It's not one of my favorite movies, but I like where it left the character. Well, one day I'll go on a rant. It wouldn't be as long as my Tross rant.
I'm gonna make that.
Mm.
In fact, I'm gonna make that your No Way Home is gonna be your movie for the rewatch
Oh,
podcast.
okay, we can do that. But I like where it left the character, with some story elements, and I think that it's pretty much a blank slate. You can do whatever you want. I would like him to get the stories that I focused on him,
Mhm.
not on the three like Spider-Man or other characters, but specifically on this character and what he's gonna be doing. So yeah, if he gets new villain that is not necessarily one of his like most famous of his rogue gallery, I'm fine with that as long
Mhm.
as it's a good story, as long as it's focused on the character, and we'll see what
Yeah,
happens. And I don't have anyone in mind
that's
because I'm terrible at fan casting.
yeah. And no, I agree. I think people have been talking about um what's his name? Steve Ewan, which is I mean fine. He kind of is the go-to between him and Randall Park. Uh
Yeah, they always go for like.
because they're well known. Um, that's just
Mhm.
that's an American and Western bias that there's not a ton of Asian, well known Asian men beyond like certain like Ken Watanabe, Hiroyuki Sanada. They are because they show up in a lot of things, but we don't necessarily have a big. I think what's God? What's the guy? Henry Golding. He's kind of become a name now. The British actor. Uh, so he could be it. Henry Golding actually would not be a bad call. He needs a win. I think he doesn't have a ton of wins. He was Snake Eyes in the Snake Eyes movie. Yeah, he was in Crazy Rich Asians. He was the main romantic lead. I didn't haven't seen that. Um,
Mm-hmm, hmm.
so
Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah, so he will be good. Um, but I want to see Mr. Negative mainly because, and I do believe Mr. Negative is the guy because he was the main bad guy in the Brand New Day series. He was introduced in like I think Dan Slott introduced him. He was the main bad guy, and he was kind of a behind the scenes person, but also he was connected to Aunt May because he was in his alter ego is Martin Lee, who is a philanthropist and who was helping Aunt May with doing her whole charity and like homeless outreach and everything. So it would be cool. I'd be interested. I just let's cast a good person in it, but it doesn't have to be one of those names I just mentioned. There are other Asian actors. They do exist. I don't know them. That's a blind spot on my part. Bring somebody. Hell, I'm sure there's a Chinese actor or someone from not necessarily Japan or Malay, China, Malaysian, whatever. Let's cast a wide net and bring in someone who's really going to bring a lot to this. I'm sure there are some foreign language films that have some Asian actors that can bring it, Korean or whatever. Let's just see. So I'm interested. I hope this is true. We'll let you guys know if and when they confirm it. Uh, Continuing on about Marvel, this is more about the yeah. Look, I love the MCU. I do. I love Marvel comics. I like all of that stuff. I do not love Marvel as a business entity. I'm so I do not love. In fact, I quite dislike the shit that they be up to. They are notoriously bad about paying people. Period. On time at all. Their residuals are garbage. The way they compensate writers and creators from the comics for the shit that ends up on the, on movies and TV shows is bad. They're not good. They aren't. I know that. You know that. We all know that. So when this story came up, I was just like, yep, it's Marvel. Marvel sucks like this. So Carrie Coon, she was Proxima Midnight in Infinity War. A, a reasonably important character. Not she wasn't the main character, but she was kicking ass.
I
But I mean, she was
They
she was
slaughtered
there.
them pretty much, like
Yeah, in Endgame, but
all throughout
in
them.
Infinity War, they were giving the Avengers the business. They were not easily killed.
Some
So
business,
so
not a lot of
so
business.
Proxima Midnight, and she had to fight Black Widow and also Steve Rogers and so forth in the Infinity War. So she was the mocap and voice for Proxima Midnight. Carrie Coon was, and she's not an unknown actress, and not she. I don't think she's a household name, but she's not unknown. She's got a career, and so she signed on apparently to the movies with the part of the contract that said if she returned for another one, they would increase her pay. Right? So you take the one, it doesn't pay you as much, but they're like, we're going to bring your character back. Your pay is going to change. And considering it's Endgame, one of the biggest movies of all time, it's like in the top 2 or 3 movies of all time. I think it's 2. Yeah. It's not like they were like,
It's
oh,
it's top two
yeah,
because Avatar
because of Avatar. But
did the re-release and took the first place back. So it's
yeah,
still Endgame is still the most.
yeah.
Mm.
I think, but you look at the movie, and you knew Endgame was going to be a huge thing, right? Before they even filmed it, they knew it was going to be huge. So, okay, cool. Contractually, it says this, fine. Well, apparently, she said the reason why she didn't come back for it was because Marvel was playing games, and they were like, "No, we're gonna pay you exactly the same, and you should just be lucky you're even in this movie. You're even in a Marvel movie." And she was like, "I don't need the money that much, so no, I'm not gonna come back for it." And you noticed in Endgame, they didn't do anything. She got whooped. She was there to get beat up to be a presence, but she wasn't really. The character wasn't really there. She was just there, which makes sense within the context of the movie itself. But it was still kind of like, hey, you're not even gonna like focus on these guys who were such a big part of the problem in the first movie. Now they're just kind of cannon fodder. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about the fact that she was talking about this, like, and she's just like, whatever, no hard feelings. I'm moving on. I didn't want to do it because they didn't value me enough, and like, I'm not going to play that game. So, no, she didn't make a big stink about it. She's just like, fine, moving on. What do you think about this? How does this make you feel about the Marvel Studios and what they're up to?
Well, it's something that we expect from them at this point. It's not surprising. It's a big corporation versus someone who they don't who technically needs them more than they need her. So, but I think she did the right thing. I think that I'm glad that she was in a position to make this choice, and like some people who really need the paycheck. I hope that her situation allowed her to do that, and good for her.
Yeah, no, I
Like really good for her for valuing herself enough to just say no. You know what?
yeah, they say
That's the
know your worth.
work
Yeah.
attitude that I think we should all strive to achieve.
Well, I mean, it helps that she already had a good career. She wasn't hard up. She didn't need the check.
Yeah.
Some of us in our job, we can't just be doing that. But she has the ability to just be like, "No, I'm good. I can line up so many other things. I don't need this lowball bullshit when y'all about to make billions." Um, I just I hate what it that we expect this from Marvel. They're bad about it. Like they are just bad about it. And they don't apologize for it. They don't. One thing I've noticed about Marvel is when they get called out or caught out at this shit, they don't
They don't say anything.
they don't say, they're just like, this is what we do. If you want to be in a Marvel thing, so this all, but this also is there has implications for the way they make movies, which is that the top build talent,
Some characters
yeah,
just disappear.
yeah. Well, some characters disappear, some storylines disappear. Because Terrence Howard literally he didn't get kicked out of Iron Man because of how he acted, because he didn't deliver as Rhodey. He didn't get
Yeah.
he didn't get kicked out of Iron Man 2 because because he was a problem on set. He got replaced because he wanted more money. Rightly so. Rightly so. The first movie, I'm not saying he was the guy that made the movie what it was. Every person that came back for that second movie should have been like, I want more money. This is successful. I should be asking for more money. Y'all are going to make more money, and you know it. But
that's I feel like that is the situation where everyone should be backing each other. So it should be like more money for everyone, or we all just walk away.
Well, this is one of those things where this
is like
the character,
what the unions are for.
Yeah, the talent. Well, the talent is now they're rightly negotiating up front. Like that's why part of the reason why Marvel movies are expensive is because the top bill talent know, if I'm going to be in this, I'm going to be obligated to this franchise for a while, but also, y'all are going to make big bank, and you're not going to sit here and play me like I'm like,
but they can do that. They can afford that. What I'm talking is about everyone. Yes,
below the line.
They should be backing them too.
Yeah, and it's I think this, and they're like, well, the ballooning costs. Well, okay, what do you want to do? Like you want all these people to be in this movie, and you're willing to give 20 million per film or however many million per film to the top bill talent. The people down further down shouldn't be paid peanuts in order for you to pay the top line people so much more. It's not their fault that they're demanding high salaries for a good reason. The lower bill talent should get paid and compensated too.
I mean, it's all a good reason until you think that, like, how much money does a person need? Again, do you need 20 million for one? Like, do you deserve 20 million for one movie?
I mean, deserve is I don't know.
Do you have to have 5 mentions?
I will say this much, because this is about to me, the way I look at it is how much is the company going to make relative to how much they're paying to make the thing. So Endgame made $1 billion. It paid $2.25 billion. It made a lot of money. Over $2 billion. That's a lot of money. Even when you account for how much they spent on marketing and on production, they still made a ton of profit off of that movie. I mean, they made over $1 billion in profit off of that.
But this movie is, among other things, paid for the next movies and stuff like that.
You have to. The way I look at it is, y'all are making a buttload of money off of this, and they want to keep as much of that money as they can. So they want to lowball everyone else who's involved in the process. The top line talent is like, no, y'all are going to make billions off. Y'all going to make $1 billion off of this. Y'all going to afford to pay me for $20 million. You can afford to pay me. Like, y'all are going to make a lot of that. So you're not going to sit there and play me. And I think that the question isn't, do you as an actor deserve this? The question is, does the corporation deserve to make all that money and not spread it out a little more evenly?
Also, I just for me personally, it's just very complicated question. Like, I don't think that the job of an actor, I understand that they have a finite amount of jobs and time, and it pays for like a few months or a year of their life. But I still, it's not a harder job than many other jobs that don't get that much money. So it's confusing. It's a little
Yeah,
bit confusing because this celebrity status and all of these things are so inflated, like out of nothing.
it is. It's just that there's
So
so
that's a bigger question. That's like a
yeah,
philosophical
there's
question of
just so
how did
much.
we get to this culture in
There's so
general.
much money tied up in this that when they make money off of it, how are they how are they distributing it? Where's that money going to? And
Yeah, yeah,
the people who are this is the people who are integral to making this movie, like, yeah, you could be like, well, they could replace Robert Downey Jr. They could and get another person. This movie would still make a lot of money. That person is going to deserve to have a part of that success. And Carrie Coon is just like, look, y'all didn't value me. Y'all didn't value me as much as I value me. So fuck off. I'm like, no hard feelings. This is business. Whatever. I I value myself at a certain level. You don't. So I'm
yeah.
moving on.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's fair. And she good for her for standing on it. But also,
Mm-hmm.
she has the ability to do that. And good
Yeah,
for her.
true.
And
But
but
also Marvel should do better.
yeah, I want way better uh acting, not acting. I want way better behavior from Marvel, and I don't think we're going to get it because they're a big corporation, and all big corporations are trying to minimize how much they pay workers and maximize their
Mm-hmm.
profits. They don't want to share any of that because the morality of capitalism isn't to to be fair. It's to concentrate wealth. And so you can't concentrate wealth if you keep giving it out to the people that make you wealthy. So, all
Yeah.
right, good for her. And be better, Marvel. Speaking of be better, Marvel, Nia DaCosta. Uh, I think she didn't have a great time as a Marvel. I don't think she's gonna come back to Marvel either. Not just because the Marvels flopped, and the Marvels flopped not because of wokeness, but for other reasons. I don't believe that enough people gave a shit about wokeness to not go see this movie. There are other factors like the actors strike, the strikes that were happening at the same time. Lack of marketing wasn't great because of that. There's some whatever they call it, superhero fatigue, and the characters not being hugely well known. But whatever. Another part is that Nia DaCosta says that the movie that she pitched for the Marvels isn't the one that came out. This is a problem with franchises, but particularly with Marvel, that she pitched and the movie and she shot a certain movie, and they were like, "How about we make another movie that's sort of like this but not?" And that's what happened. She got caught up in the Marvel machine, and she's not the first director to be caught up in the Marvel machine. I want to point out. Uh, what was it? Ant Man. The original Ant Man the Ant Man we got is not the one that was pitched and was even like shot. They started with one director, they ended up with a different director. So, but
Yeah, they went through like a bunch of them and a bunch of script
yeah,
pitches and scripts and stuff like
and
that.
we've seen this recently too with other stuff
And it
too.
took years.
But Nia DaCosta said that she shot this and everything, and she was like, well, it's no hard feelings. I learned some things as a director about working within this environment and this ecosystem, and it's just it was a learning experience. But I thought it was instructive and interesting to talk about the fact that the movie was, the people talk about, oh, interference, right? Studio interference, executive interference. This movie had that. Like, and I think in some places you can sort of see it, right? Yeah, I think you can sort of see that there was a little bit of rejiggering or whatever you want to call it of the movie. But also, I think this speaks to the fact that maybe directors are less interested in helming Marvel movies because they pitch a certain vision and don't get to actually play it out. They don't actually get to see what their vision was. You hired me for this job to do it this way, and then you come in and be like, well, actually, we're going to still do it our own way. What's the point of, if you're a director with a very strong artistic vision, you have an idea of what you want, and you don't actually get to get it, and it's out of your hands because this isn't your IP. Unless you contractually like, I get, final cut, you don't actually get final cut. They're going to make what they make, and you're just kind of there to sort of serve that end. I thought about this. I have a little more to say, but I wanted to hear what you had to say about Nia DaCosta admitting, hey, they took it out of my hands, basically.
That is something that I don't know. I studied journalism, so the first some of the first lessons that we got like during lectures is that you think that this job is creative, but it's not. And it's kind of the same thing, I think, because when people think that it's some working for this big IP that's ongoing, that's already happening, it's the same with Marvel comics or DC comics or any other comics, and comic book movies as well, because it's an established universe, established world. And when you come in, you don't necessarily know everything that's going on. Everything that they're trying to build. So it's natural to have this interference. It's natural to have things that need to happen for it to be tied up to the bigger story and to the big image. For me, it makes sense that there is going to be this interference, that there are things that you can and can't do because you are working for someone else. It's not an independent movie. It's not a story it's a story that you pitch. It's not a story that you are telling necessarily like from yourself with your own characters. You're already working with the characters that exist. You're playing in somebody else's sandbox. So I think that it makes sense to be prepared for that. It continuously surprises me that some directors are shocked by it, like, or just didn't expect this, because these stories, they go around and we all know that this is how it is. So I understand like that this is an experience that not necessarily everyone has, but this is kind of an experience that you always have when you work for someone.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird to
even if you line up like the finances for your own movie that you're gonna shoot, still there are gonna be people who are giving you money who are gonna want to include things. That's always like that.
No, I agree. It's I guess it's a little weird or even disconcerting as a person who has a, like, if you're a director, you have a strong artistic vision for what you're doing. You're looking at printed words, and in your mind, the movie's shot. So you just kind of want to bring what's in your mind to the world, and you're hired for this particular vision, or at least you think you are. So, but I think a lot of directors nowadays, they know, like, if you're getting into a IP, your vision is a suggestion, and the actual vision is whatever the fuck the producers or the studio wants. So I think as a young and not terribly experienced director, you may come into their, because she came from like more independent stuff. She did the Candyman reboot, which was really good, or not sequel, or legacy sequel, which is quite good. But I think she had more freedom there because of how much lower the stakes are, who she was working with. But Marvel has, you've got to come into it knowing, like, no, you have to hit these marks, right? You have to, set things up. And also, if we don't like what you're doing, we think we know better, and we're going to like fix whatever it is. And we're going to you're driving until you're not driving. You're flying this plane, but we have a co-pilot that could take the reins if we need to. And we can,
Bottom line, you get paid.
Yeah.
You get paid well, I hope.
Yeah. But
so
the question then becomes, so this is kind of the David Ayer, Zack Snyder situation, where people are like, was this the movie that you directed it. You, for better or for worse, your name is attached to it. How much of it was actually you? Because what people don't say about movies is, yes, you can direct the movie, but you don't edit it, right? You can shoot. You're the person on set telling people do this X, Y, and Z. You're talking to the cinematographer, and y'all work together to make the shots. But more often than not, you are not putting the movie together. So the final actual output is you, but it's also the editor or editors, right? And whatever the producers do or don't like about it. And it's all based on, especially for IP things, test screenings and so things. The final actual outcome is not really the director. It's just partly the director. So who are these editors? And did the Marvels not work? Not just because of all of the external factors, but the editor. Who were the editors that made it what it was? Especially if she's saying, "Hey, that movie, as you saw it, that's not really what I pitched, and it's not really what I shot. It is, but it isn't." So how much can be laid at the feet of the editors, who we will never know who they are unless you
I
really look them up?
always want to know what is the movie she pitched then, and what is the movie we
Yep.
were supposed to see. Please tell us these things, because otherwise we can't judge. Because it could be like Justice League, Zack Snyder's. I mean,
Well,
if that's what you pitch, I didn't want to see that. Okay.
I'm very curious about
I
how.
still don't want
Yeah,
to see that.
I'm curious, but I don't think we'll ever get it. But it's interesting to know the process. But I like
4
that.
goddamn hours.
I like the fact that Nia DaCosta, she's not bitter about it. She's not shit talking anything. She's just saying, "Hey, it was an experience. I learned from it.
Yeah.
This wasn't the movie I
But that's the
wanted, but
only way to treat these things, I think.
yeah." And she's not burning a bridge. She's just like, "Hey, which by the way, I don't think that bridge exists anyway because the Marvels flopped. So
Money.
it's there. I don't think you're coming back definitely. So anyway, interesting. I actually want to see more from Nia DaCosta. She is directing the third, or she's directing the second movie in this 28 days or 28 years later new trilogy. So I'm interested to see that. Let's talk about Daredevil. I don't know how brief we can make this, but we're gonna see. It's been a few weeks since we've talked about Daredevil. I mostly want to talk about the most recent episode. We didn't talk about the bank robbery episode. We didn't talk about the Muse episode. It's been a little while. So let's just kind of catch up, especially because the season finale is next week. And we want to see where Daredevil is. In your mind, how is this rank? In your mind, how is this season going? Is it a top tier?
Going so freaking great. I love the fact that it focuses on his struggle again between him and the costume and him out of the costume, and that I absolutely love the Daredevil character, and especially when he's suffering, when everything falls apart for him. The worst things are for him, the better things are for me as a reader or a viewer. I enjoy his misery. It's amazing. And I know that he, as a character, that there's something that they picked up so well from the comics, is the fact that he keeps creating his own problems, and he keeps making things worse, and he keeps getting into things that are hard to get out of. That's fantastic, and they really nailed it in the show, because you'd think that he almost got his shit together, but no, he didn't. And that's true. And there are all these parallels between him and Fisk that they are finding this. They're trying out this new way. Like Fisk is trying to be a politician, Daredevil's trying to be a lawyer, and they keep sliding back and coming back, and things that keep dragging them back to the shadow personas or the true selves, more like it. And the events that occurred, like the bank robbery, hello, that's like for some people it's like the universal god or whatever. It's telling you that you have to be in the costume and do this shit. Well, for him it's definitely God. So yeah. And for Fisk, it's not like that. It's more like he is telling himself he just can't not do it.
Right.
Can't not be evil. Not that he's trying to not be evil, because like politics, really, seriously.
Yeah. There's.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say there's like it's these few episodes. Like I was like the bank robbery. It was a self-contained bit, even though I feel like there should be more implications about it. Like what was up with the Irish gangsters? And he literally beat the shit out of a guy the guy thought he was blind, right? So he beat the shit. What happened to that dude? I don't know. What do you do with that guy?
I forgot.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, when somebody beats you up like that, are you gonna snitch on them?
he beat the hell out of him and broke his leg, but there's been no follow up. We don't know what happened to that guy. It was a cool episode though. I liked seeing Yusuf Khan. He was fun. It was a very like it's one of those like if this were a 22 episode season, this will be just one of those standalone episodes where something happened, it shows some Daredevil shit, and we move on, right? But because this is a 9 episode season out of a 16 episode, total episode order, you're just like, what is this and what is it? How's it connected? We're concentrating Daredevil here. What does this have to do with anything? Oh, and nothing. It's just showing. Okay,
It does actually have to do something. It does add to his character in general. It does show, for the people who didn't watch the Netflix show, or just in general not very familiar with him. I mean, we know him well, so for us it's natural, but it's a reflection of what Hector Ayala was talking about, the right thing to do.
He can't say
he went in because he knew that
he can't say no to heroing.
yes. That's the thing. That's exactly the continuation of that line. And it has to be some time for him. There has to be some time between making the decision to walk away from that life and coming back to it, and actually actively coming back to it. It can't happen in a span of like 2 episodes. Like today he's no, and tomorrow, because a lot of things happened for him. There was a reason he walked away. And this it was a big reason too. Like it's a huge reason for him. So you can't just rush it in. That's exactly how a good story is told, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I did like that they're doing the MCU thing, like tying it more to the MCU with Yusuf Khan, but also giving some hints where Miss Marvel is and what she's doing. Hopefully that's a setup for that's like they're like, put this in so we can set up the fact that the champions are coming. That was cool. I like the episode. The Muse bringing Muse to an end, literally to an end, that's a good episode. And I because I had been asking him like, how the hell is Muse? They end up fighting at the end of one episode, and then then Muse he
runs away.
Yeah, he gets away. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? He should have beat the shit out of this guy. Oh, he's a prodigy at Taekwondo. Okay, cool. Explained. Nice light there, but also bringing. This is another one of those. Oh, why is he connected to this? Because reasons. But actually, there isn't. The reasons are actually reasonable. His girlfriend is a
Heather.
Yeah, she's a psychologist. Heather, she's a psychologist who is not only working
not a good one.
Well, but she's working with but she is interested in why people are mass vigilantes in this world with superheroes. So of course that brings her into the path of Muse, who is a damaged person,
or rather like him into her, but I don't know.
Well,
It's interesting that he shows up.
Well, he even explains it. He even explains why he seeks her out, because he thinks she understands him, and so just so happens, and doesn't even just so happen. They literally say the reason why Matt and Heather are together is because Kirsten knows her and thinks they will be good together. She set that. So when I say, "Oh, how is it that Matt's personal life and his costumed entity life cross?" It's not. It's because reasons. It's not because reasons. There's actually a
Yeah.
logical way to get towards how they're both connected, and I really
You
like
know,
that.
the fact that Kirsten was his girlfriend in the comics,
Hmm.
I was so proud of her for not doing that. I was like, hell yeah, you
She
listened.
she
You
like.
listened to what
I
I keep
think
saying.
if Foggy hadn't died, Foggy
I
was
am
gonna
so
close the
afraid for
deal.
her though.
Yeah. Well,
I'm still so afraid for her because I know how it happens around Matt. So,
yeah, you're gonna. Everybody dies.
girl, you better stay away.
Okay, I would say Karen's on the other side of the country for a reason. Um, so that was cool. I like the whole Muse thing. I like that they're setting up Angela to eventually be to eventually basically be mentored by Matt. That's gonna happen. Let's just call it. She's gonna be White Tiger.
Hopefully.
She's
But
hopefully she doesn't die at it, but
she probably will. That's the problem again with Matt Murdock. That you're probably gonna die.
I mean, we hope not, but they're clearly setting her up. Is she gonna be Young Avengers? Like, cause what is she, 14, 13, something like she's young. She's
No, I
14,
think
something
she's
like
like
is
16,
she six?
supposed to
But
be now.
she's young. So they're setting and
Yeah.
she's gonna have the amulet and everything. She had a near death experience.
Hmm.
She doesn't know how to not do the right thing. Cool. I like the whole little fight. I like the fact that Heather killing Muse is further entrenching her in the idea that
Yeah, it
mass people
affects
bad.
her.
Yeah, but it's affecting her
Yeah.
personally,
But
but
also,
mass people
before
bad.
we get before we get to her character, I wanted to point out there's the whole Muse arc. I like how it was. He isn't the big bad in the story,
Right.
but he's exactly like he's in the comics. He's like this villain who slowly gets his story
Mm-hmm.
and comes to an end eventually. But with Heather, like it's a obviously yes the all the things that happen in her killing Muse. I love that it affects her. I love that she tries to talk to Matt about it, and he can't be open.
Yeah.
Like he can't talk back to her the way like he normally would if she knew who he was.
Right.
And especially what I especially like is again the moment when he realizes that she might think that Wilson Fisk has some really good ideas. That is
It's
like
like finding out that your girlfriend or boyfriend voted for Trump. You're just like, wait,
yes,
hold on a
exactly,
second.
exactly.
Hold on.
And it's a moment again pulled straight from the comics because he had this conversation with one of the people he worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can bring it up. It's about like how I think Spider-Man destroyed her car. Something
Right.
she just finished paying it off, and she was like, "You know what?" She didn't straight up tell it. She voted for Fisk, but it was implied.
Yeah.
And to have someone so close to him say that and come to this decision, like come to these views in general, that is so amazing.
Yeah. I think to be fair to the person that's complaining about Spider-Man and she's mad, you live in New York City with superheroes and you don't have insurance that'll cover that. Which I bet they don't even sell insurance because they're like, no, your shit's gonna get rocked. We are not covering that. I think that that's wild that someone who intentionally stays in New York City is just like, I hate superheroes for what they're doing here. You move. And I know it's not easy for everybody to do that, but like for real, like
From New York, I think
yeah.
from New York, it's easier to sell your apartment, like your shoebox in New York, and buy a house somewhere in the
It's
suburbs.
not as easy, but I get the point. Um, the rest of like the penultimate episode of the season, the black and white ball, the setup for all of that. It is a beautifully done, and this was directed by Moorhead and Benson, who were like they were the creators of the original show. I think it was a beautifully like I literally when we got towards the end of the episode, all I could think was, all right, Wilson Fisk has set up the chessboard, right? He's moved all of everyone's in the same place, that all the pieces are in place. And then kind of realizing it really is like a chessboard, like he's the king, but who's the actual power player in the move? It's Vanessa. Vanessa's the queen. She's moving things like she's powerful. But the whole thing is set up and all these people are there, but we have rogue pieces that we didn't really understand what was going. Like Matt, he is he's the X factor, and not because he is going to suit up and kick ass, but because he lets loose a character, Bullseye, specifically to get to maneuver him so that he's a problem that will set some chaos into the situation so he can get some truth out of it. He's thinking Wilson Fisk did this, but he realized, no, Vanessa did this. And he sort of sets up the situation to it's a playboard that was set up perfectly.
Another stupid thing that he's done, by the way.
He did it intentionally. If you're not paying attention, you think, why is he just mad at him for Foggy? No, he's letting him loose.
Yeah.
But the playboard is set up
that's
perfectly.
Very stupid. Like, you know who he is. That is so stupid. I can't believe he can be that stupid.
I
know that it's a lot of things that built up to this and that led to this, and I know that that's how he does things. But that doesn't change the fact that he's damn stupid.
Yeah, look, he is not in the right. He's not in a great headspace. Like in this idea, he is essentially hiring Bullseye to target his enemy.
And he ain't even paying him.
But he doesn't want. He's like, I crossed the line. That's why I can't put my suit on because I almost killed somebody. But he's crossing a line. It's the difference between. They say, I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna save you either. It's that sort of mentality. But I love like I said, I was like, oh, the chessboard is set up, all the pieces are in place. But Wilson Fisk, you didn't count on this one piece, and he didn't count on two of them. He didn't count on BB actually being there for a reason. She's not there because she's naive. She knows what's going on. You have his fanatical, was it Daniel? He's his fanatical guy who's actually being played by BB is actually playing him. And he thinks he did that whole little, whose side are you really on? I can make this difficult to play. But she's actually there to play for keeps. We didn't know that, right? We have these crazy ass, terrible cops who are awful that we want to see all die horribly, right? So this is a big
except like Cole North because he's supposed to.
Fuck that guy too. Fuck him too.
He's supposed to switch sides eventually because in the comics he's like Matt's friend and stuff like that. But
he's trash. But like.
I don't know. Yes.
I
think we're gonna see a change of heart because, like, again, in the comics, he has really good reasons.
We want to fuck all of them, especially the one that should have been, Matt. I hope he beats the hell out of him again. This is like I am loving this show.
And we got the swordsman.
Yeah. So Tony Dalton's swordsman, Jack Duquesne. There's a lot of there's a lot going on politically, personally. Now it is about to be physical because all things in the Marvel universe have to be solved by fisticuffs or bullets. Strangely, like the real world, and it's just all coming to a head, especially with Matt taking a bullet, which is, I love because they were like, as Bullseye said, a good man will defend his worst enemy. Well, he did. He took a bullet for him, which is messed up because like this all could be solved with that guy dying. This all could be resolved, but hey, okay.
the right thing to do again.
Well, it's really more like he's fixing his fuck up because
Although
he
it's
he
not the
he
right thing to do. It's just
he's
Matt being stupid.
yeah, he let this guy loose, and now he's trying to like bottle. Trying to put that genie back in the bottle. It's too late.
Literally created the problem, trying to solve the problem.
Yeah,
He
it's
always does that. That
yeah,
is classic Daredevil.
it's a classic. A lot of things like it could be argued that this is an unintentional or intentional allegory for the shit that's going on in our world right now. So
Of course.
I love this. This show is so good.
But we
Yeah.
can, amazing.
Yeah, it is doing, and all these people that are complaining about not enough Daredevil in it, read a fucking comic.
Shut up.
One, read a comic. Two, literally every
Read the second one.
think about any show you're watching, like propaganda shows. Don't they spend a lot of time with the cops not doing all the action stuff? It's a lot of the footwork and interpersonal things. ER isn't nonstop, life-saving life-saving surgery. Some of it is some shit
I
going on
think you're
behind the
thinking
scenes.
of like Grey's Anatomy.
Well, but even ER spent a lot of time not doing that. So like, y'all chill out. This movie,
I don't know. I remember them always being in the ER.
Yeah,
and
well,
those
they're
running.
in the ER, but like you can't be like, it can't be one emergency surgery to the next. That's not a cool show. I don't want to watch that. It's the action and the costume stuff is interesting because of all the setup that's going on before it. So like, y'all keep an eye on it. Anyway,
exactly.
Good. I can't wait the next episode, the season finale. I think we're
so excited.
We definitely got to talk about it when it drops. So we are going to do that then. So we have you know what, we still got some time. Listen, we got some time. We're going to do a nerd discussion to close out the show this week. Polly has been, she has been wanting to talk about, we've had a few nerd discussion topics on the show notes for a while now and haven't gotten to it. So this one is just one popped into my head this morning. And it's something apparently Polly had been thinking about for a while. And the question is, the nerd discussion topic is it time to admit that comic book movies and TV shows are never going to be as good as the comics that they are inspired by? What, Polly? I think that this is true. What do you think?
I think that for starters, we have to define like there are first of all of them are adaptations. Of course, they're not going to be exactly like the source material. There's always somebody's view and the way somebody interprets what they read. And there are shows that are better than the comic books that gave them birth. Like some of them are just loosely inspired or inspired by comics. So it's not a question of whether they're going to be good, as good as the source material. It's a question for me of whether they're going to be like the source material. And it's okay that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
More or less, that's my take.
Well,
the characters are not going to be exactly like those that you read, but as it like it happened in Daredevil, the stories are not exactly the same, but the spirit and the energy and the ideas and the message, they're the same. And as long as you can keep that, you can create new stories in a new medium that where it fits. Because panel to panel adaptations are not necessary because we've already seen that, we've already read that, and it's not as interesting as we think it would be.
Right.
And it's it necessarily works, not necessarily always works.
Yeah.
So
I see where you come from. Like I'm not one of these people that needs panel to panel adaptations. I don't need page for page.
Just show some page reference once in a while.
I know I'm perfectly fine with distilling all of these comics or all of these ideas into the best ones or the best storylines and taking inspiration and this sort of making something that works for the medium, because print, prose and comics aren't the same, comics and movies aren't the same, etc. You have to be able to adapt them to take advantage of the medium's, strengths. Perfectly fine with that. I don't want, like, Age of Ultron isn't the one I wanted to see, but it told its story and it's Ultron related. All right, cool. That's fine. All that's good. So in that way, I think that movies and TV shows can be as good or even sometimes better than the source material. What
Yeah,
I'm
like
Yeah,
the boys show
yeah,
and the boys
yeah.
comic book.
It can be better. It can take inspiration
I
and be better.
couldn't finish the comic book.
It can take inspiration. It can be better.
Mm.
What I mean by that is they will never be as good in terms of the ability to tell the stories because they don't have the time to do it. The
I
thing
think the
about
TV shows
Yeah,
actually have the
what
time to do
even
this.
the TV shows, because not, and especially not nowadays, because TV shows don't get to live for as long as they do. They don't get as
Mm.
many seasons. They don't get as many hours per season. The thing about comics, the strength about comic books is that there's more time and more opportunity to let more characters and more storylines shine. You cannot, I guarantee, pick uh, Marvel put their ideal output per year is 3 shows, and is 3 movies and 3 or 4 shows per year. So let's just say 7 projects per year, right? There aren't Marvel Comics has never put out 7 comic books in one year. Just 7 monthly. They have never done that. Since, I'm sorry, they have in the very beginning, but since the 70s, they have had dozens of comics out per month, right? So you're talking about team books, individual books, right? So 7 movies or TV shows means at the least 7 characters, but at the most, let's say maybe something like 10 to 12 characters are going to main characters, heroes are going to get shine plus their villains. So grand total maybe 20 characters, right? 20 named superhero or villain characters. That is 4 or 5 books in terms of comics per month. They don't have the time, they don't have the bandwidth to give any of these characters the shine they need to be iconic characters. The reason why I think the MCU was so dope in the beginning was phase 1 and 2 was essentially about it was essentially covering the stories of roughly 8 to 10 people, right? Now the MCU has like 30 something named characters, and I think it's more than that actually, between the Eternals, everybody in the Marvels, uh the Black Panther, all the Avengers. You're talking about 30 main characters, right? 30 plus main characters, not counting their villains. So, how do you make 30 plus characters and more as it goes on? How do you give any of them time to breathe when you're putting out 7 things a year, right? And these are 7, 3 or 4 of them are TV shows that are not necessarily going to come out the next year. So the next year, it's a different crop of shows. So you're talking about 2 or 3 year difference between when you see the characters than when you see them again, right? Maybe they'll show up in something, but probably not. They're not. How do they get time to breathe to have a real, exploration of character and to stay fresh in the minds of the audience when you have such a time limitation on when they show up versus the comics where they're in and out of each other's comics all the time. There is no limitations. They can show up in anything at any time. There'll be a guest appearance. Punisher shows up for whatever reason with the X-Men for 2 or 3 issues in that year, bam, he's off going on and doing his own thing in his own book. And so you talking about, you get what I'm saying? You read the comics. There's like 30, 40 comics a month coming out from just Marvel alone.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Uh, there is that, yes, but there is something that it's an adaptation. So we don't necessarily need everything to be done the same way, and there is something that movies can do that comics can't, and not because they cannot do that, because they don't allow themselves to do it, and because they ongoing still, and like for as long as the industry is gonna survive. Um, Movies get to end the story.
Right.
They get to tell a story that has a beginning and an end. And they get to do another thing that Chris Claremont, back in the day, wanted to do. He wanted to keep replacing the characters. He wanted to tell the story of like the Phoenix, then kill her off, move on with the new characters. Tell their story, kill them off, move on with the new character. That's what movies get to do. Because they get to like retire old Avengers and bring in new,
Right.
and introduce them, build up these stories, do the same thing. It doesn't have to be everything. We don't need to necessarily see everything from their life, because for that we already have comics and we have the stories that are told there. But another thing that they could do, and the way they could solve the issue of this medium not allowing to tell all the stories, animation.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of possibilities. You don't need necessarily to keep the same voice actor. So if somebody gets like older or doesn't want to do that anymore, or something happens, you can replace the voice actor. You can keep going, and the character can live on forever,
Right.
or as long as you need them. So while yes, I wouldn't be talking about as good as, because there are bad comics, and there are stories that are impossible to adapt and impossible to bring into movies, and there are stories that need to be told differently because of the time, or because of the some other reasons, because of lack of characters' rights, whatever. But uh, even in terms of pacing, I think that comics are now a little bit faster than they used to be, and they don't necessarily need to always be that fast. And they're trying to again make some things happen in them. So it's still a lot of meddling from the editorial, I guess. Mm, but comics are not as perfect as we think they are.
No, they're not. They have
Yeah, yeah,
they have lots of they have problems and limitations. Like the part of what's Marvel and even DC is, but more Marvel because of the success of the MCU, is the MCUification
mm,
of the comics line, which for better or for worse, that's happening, right?
yeah,
They are trying to bring they're trying to be cinematic or whatever. They're trying to bring that into it.
yeah.
And like the comics were always that. The thing is that they're trying to lower the barrier of entry for newer readers. That's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. But I think it loses a bit of what makes the comics interesting, which is that anybody really can show up at any time in anything. You don't have to you're not limited by that. And you're right, contracts and character rights and all the other stuff does play. But again, the time factor is that too. You know, people are like where everyone has to show up at a certain time and it's got to lead to something else and all. Now you start having to do homework, which is fine. That's part of being a comic uh, reader, but a lot of people
Yeah, I mean, we're
aren't
used to
that.
homework.
Yeah,
60
we're
years of
very used to
homework,
it.
like, wait.
But we also, I mean, I think the where the comic book movies they kind of fall down is that these characters have a limited shelf life. And yet they want to have their cake and eat it too, essentially. They want to have like it's the dream of us comic book fans to have a live action or animated universe that plays out like the comics where literally anything could happen, right? But the practical reality is what you were saying, which is that they have to sunset the characters at some point because they're not going to have the characters forever. Aging out or just wanting to move on is a thing. So the problem the MCU has, I think, is they don't pick one. So you have legacy characters from the MCU's heyday. You have these new characters, and you have people who are just like, well, I want the legacy characters. Well, you can't have them. Chris Evans is not, he's not interested in doing another trilogy. RDJ is not interested in doing another trilogy. They'll come back for this thing. You know what I'm saying?
He is.
You can't, but you can't have,
Apparently.
you cannot have these legacy characters. They should be
Mm.
able to sunset them and move on to another set of characters, but then they have the problem of that whether or not they can get the people to latch on to these new characters because they still need to make money and they are so wedded to the and this is the problem that comics actually has too. They will not move on, right? They won't like you're saying, like the movies will they won't sunset these characters. You know, they want to have the ability to keep on making money and audience participation because of the character they already know, and they won't pull the trigger on fully investing in these new characters because they're afraid of getting burned, like with the Marvels. And the Marvels didn't. They got burned because of the Marvels because they had the wrong impression that people are gonna watch the MCU on TV and then they'll know what's up. That's not true. So they got to find some place in the middle. That's why I said I don't think they're ever going to be as good as the comics because the comics have so much more freedom to fail. I think.
Well, yes and no, because failure in the comics also leads to like unresolved stories, characters that haven't showed up for decades, and we still wonder what
Yeah.
happened to them.
Yeah.
Or like forgotten storylines, retcons, stuff like that all the time. Then like some big event that changes the whole universe. It's very complicated. We actually look at the comics through like a little bit of rose tinted glasses
True.
uh, because we enjoy it. It's funny. It's cool for us.
Yeah. It's
But it's what we like, yeah. And there are people who are coming in and they just get confused with all of
yeah.
that. It takes a lot of energy and effort, and if you're not there should be, I agree that there should be like an easy entry for new readers. I thought that would be new ultimate. I don't think that's gonna be it because like Jonathan Hickman is probably not the best person for entry level things.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, it's like I don't know, like I don't
I
know what to
I think
compare it to,
I
but
think I think really like I said, underneath it all, my idea here is just the ability to have the time to tell these stories, like gives you more space to just do a lot of different things. The movies and
unfortunately they do
yeah,
not always take advantage of that time.
yeah. Well,
Sometimes things are happening and you're like within the same issue, a lot of things are happening and you don't really feel like you sat in the moment with the character and processed all of that.
right.
So
And
there's that too.
that's what I said. Like the wanting the big cinematic scope. I think they
Hmm.
like one thing. We're not gonna get iconic. There's a bunch of iconic storylines because they're decades of stories. There's iconic storylines we're never gonna get in adapted. They're just not gonna happen. They're not gonna do the Clone Saga. It's just not. They're not going to. You know, for whatever reason, they're not going to do the Clone Saga. We're not going to get the proper Age of Ultron. We're not going to get that. I don't think that we're ever going to properly get the whole uh, Days of Future Past. I don't think we're going to get that. You know what I'm saying? Like the classic comic, but the Death of Wolverine, they sort of tried to do it with Logan, but not really. We're not going to get Old Man Logan. Like there's a bunch of these for comic book readers who are dope storylines that they don't have the time.
Uh,
They don't have the time to get to. We're going to get elements of it, but we're not going to get it properly.
you know what we're probably gonna get? since AI is gonna be a thing, it's not gonna go anywhere. I think that at some point we are gonna get AI versions of the comics, pseudo animated or whatever. I don't know.
Probably.
But animation
Yeah.
could have solved. Yeah, I just gave them an
Well, they
idea.
literally, the thing is that Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes actually did do a lot of those, they did a lot of those classic Avengers storylines. And
Yeah.
they had the room, they had the space. They didn't spend like the whole season. They do it in 3 episodes. They lay the
Yeah, so
lay the
that's the
breadcrumbs
same
for it.
thing. The same thing X-Men 97 is doing,
Mm-hmm.
like more or less, or the original animated
Right.
series. But I think that yes, we do need to do more animated show because again, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is doing a lot of things that definitely interesting and we definitely want to see. I don't know if it's gonna go into like more classic stories or something.
Right.
Probably not, but there is so much more because those stories, yeah, we've read them,
Right.
so they don't have to be exactly the same, and we can reimagine them, and we can do whatever we want with the characters in the form of animation. That would be fun.
Yeah.
If and that would actually allow for all these guest characters, just like again, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man did it. You had Doctor Strange, you had Daredevil, you
Mm-hmm.
had all the other characters. They showed up. Great.
Yeah.
Let's bring in some X-Men.
So our conclusion, and the future is animation. The movies, they're just they're both. The thing is, and this is not a a conclusive sort of discussion. It's more about movies and TV shows. They have their strengths, and they're going to pull from the comics. The comics are going to continue to kind of be the fertile ground for stories. Hopefully they'll continue to be the source of the inspiration. And somewhere in the middle, animation can do these storylines justice and still still represent the comics, but also be a little more immediate the way movies and TV shows are. So that's cool.
And we will watch that.
Yeah, we'll watch the shit out of it because we're nerds and that's what we do.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I think that's all we got to talk about today. This is a
Mhm.
fun discussion. Maybe we missed something that you guys wanted to talk about. Agree with us, disagree with us, just want to say something nice or troll us. Don't do that, though. Don't troll us. But whatever the case may
We'll
be,
throw you back.
I mean, I'll definitely hide your comment if you're being an ass, but but whatever the case may be, you know what to do. Get down to the comment section, leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, blurred_force1 on Instagram and threads, super_not_funny show on TikTok. And while you're doing that, get down there, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. All that good stuff helps to grow this channel, helps more people to see this podcast and all of the other content on Blurred Force One. And of course, I couldn't do this by myself. I needed my good friend Polly to come in with all of the comic book knowledge, way more than mine, by the way. I don't read the comics as much as she does.
I know, I didn't read a lot of Spider-Man.
Well, you read way more comics, so you bring in the knowledge there. So where can they reach
And
you
the
on?
hate for it.
Oh well, I didn't even mention Reed. You brought him up. I didn't say it. I didn't
I
bring him up
mean,
this
I
time.
have to. I get like
Yeah, break. You gotta.
something's wrong if I'm not bringing it.
I will note that Pedro Pascal's he will be on screen soon in Last of Us season 2. But anyway, he's not Reed yet. Not yet.
Shirts.
Where can they reach you on social media?
It's on car_mixed on Threads, on Tumblr, and on Instagram.
Yeah, you guys go check out Polly, show some love, and maybe discuss comics with her. She
Definitely do that.
definitely commune with the anti-Reed spirit that's emanating. Well, this has been episode 177 of the Supercast. Thank you guys for joining us this week. Come back next week. We are going to talk about the finale of Daredevil season. Oh, I guess Daredevil Born Again season 1 finale. Should be a good time, and plenty of more superhero related news Until then, I have been Mo, your commentator extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by my good friend Polly. I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.